Okay, so picture this scenario for a second. It is late.
Really late.
Yeah, maybe 11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
You are lying in bed. You are physically exhausted.
Bones tired.
Bones tired, exactly. Your eyes are actually burning a little bit. They feel like sandpaper. By all accounts, you should be asleep. But what are you doing?
The thumb is moving.
The thumb is moving. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Short videos, news headlines, memes.
Oh, the cat videos.
The cat videos. Just endless digital noise.
It's the defining condition of the modern era, isn't it? I mean, we've all been there. You're too tired to be productive, too tired to even talk to your partner, yet somehow you are not too tired to consume, high-speed flashing content for another 45 minutes.
Exactly. And that brings us to the central paradox we're unpacking today. It's something I hear all the time, and honestly, I say to myself, I just don't have time to read.
Mm-hmm.
We say we don't have time for a book, but we somehow find infinite time for the scroll.
It's a fascinating contradiction. We feel time poor, like every single minute is accounted for, but then our behavior suggests we actually have these pockets of time. We're just spending them in a very specific and very passive way.
So to get to the bottom of this, we're doing something a little unique today. We're taking a deep dive into a conversation from the A1 English podcast, hosted by Sarah and Adam.
Now, before you tune out, yes, that is a resource technically designed for English learners. But here's the thing about materials made for learners. They strip away all the fluff.
They really do. It's so concise.
I mean, sometimes simplifying the language forces you to get to the absolute core of a human truth. Sarah and Adam, they aren't just teaching vocabulary here. They're having this really profound conversation about the modern attention span.
Right. They're looking at why we can't focus without hiding behind all the complex academic jargon. Our mission today is to unpack what they call the quiet power of reading. We're going to look at why our brains physically resist books in what they call the microwave age, and more importantly, how to reclaim that focus without it feeling like homework.
Because nobody wants more homework.
Absolutely not. We want relief, not more work.
And we need to start with that specific analogy you just dropped, the microwave age.
I loved this comparison. It's so visual.
It's brilliant. They compare our current media consumption, the scrolling, the clips, the instant updates, to fast food. And then they compare reading to a slow-cook, homemade meal.
Okay, but let's push on that a bit, because fast food is bad, home cooking is good, can feel a little cliche. What is the actual mechanism they're pointing to? Why is the screen fast food?
It's about the cognitive load. I mean, it's about how the experience is delivered. Think about fast food or, in digital terms, a 10-second video.
Okay.
The source points out that in this format, the world is built for you.
Built for you. That phrase really stuck with me.
Right. Think about a video. You've got sound, you've got color, you have faces talking to you, editing, subtitles popping up. It's passive.
You just sit there.
You just sit there and let it wash over you.
Yeah.
Your brain is in receiving mode. It doesn't have to fill in any of the gaps.
Whereas reading
Reading is active construction. As Sarah and Adam describe it, reading is a meal you have to cook yourself. When you look at a book, what do you see?
just black marks on white paper. That's it. There's no picture, no sound.
Exactly. There is no movie playing unless you play it. You have to build the world. Your brain has to, and I love this phrase from the source, wake up and paint the picture. You have to imagine the voice of the character, the scenery, the tension in the room. That requires cognitive calories.
Which explains the resistance. When you're tired at 11:00 p.m., your brain is just screaming, no! When you look at a book, it's saying, I don't want to cook. I want the drive-thru. Just give me the nuggets.
That's exactly it. We live in a world where we expect everything to be ready immediately. Fast messages, fast food, fast entertainment. The microwave age. So when you switch to a medium that requires you to construct the reality, there's friction.
Real friction.
Genuine biological friction.
They actually talk about this friction as like a physical sensation. They mention that the first few minutes of reading can feel genuinely uncomfortable.
Yes, the attention gem. I think this is such a helpful reframe for anyone who's struggling to focus. Think of your attention span like a muscle. If we've been sitting on the couch eating digital fast food for 5 years, that muscle has atrophied. It's weak.
So when you first hit the gym, it hurts. You're sore immediately.
It hurts. The source mentions that your mind literally wants to run away. You read 2 paragraphs, and your hand just unconsciously reaches for your phone. It isn't just a habit, it's a withdrawal symptom. Your brain is asking, where is the easy dopamine? Why are we doing work? This is boring.
I felt so seen when they described this. I think we interpret that discomfort as boredom, or maybe I'm not a reader anymore. We think, oh, this book just isn't very good. But what they're saying is it's just the warm-up set.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If you stay with it, if you push through that initial wall, usually it's just 5 or 10 minutes, the thoughts start to line up. The source describes it as walking from a really noisy room into a quiet library. At first, the silence feels too big, maybe even, oppressive. But then your shoulders drop. You breathe. The brain switches gears.
It becomes a calm corner. But we have to be honest about the traps we fall into while trying to find that corner. There's this hilarious anecdote in the source about the aesthetic reading girl.
Oh, the Pinterest trap. I think everyone has fallen into this at least once.
Yes. You decide you are going to read with a capital R. So you light a candle, you make a perfect cup of tea, you get the lighting just right, you put on the fuzzy socks, you set the vibe.
You're setting the stage for the performance of reading.
Right. But then what happens? You sit there for 5 minutes, the book is open, but you end up on your phone taking a picture of the book. Or looking at pictures of other people reading because that looks nicer than actually doing the work.
It cuts deep because it's true. It's the performance of reading versus the act of reading. We want the identity of being a reader because it signals calmness and intelligence. But we struggle with the actual activity because, again, it requires us to build the world.
We like the idea of the gym, but we hate the heavy lifting.
Exactly.
So we've established that it is hard work. It's a gym for your brain. But why do it? Why push through that wall? If it's so much work, why not just watch the movie? This is where the source gets really, really touching. It moves beyond just focus or intelligence and talks about the heart.
Empathy. This is one of the most powerful arguments for reading fiction specifically. It allows you to, as they say, borrow someone else's eyes.
They gave 2 really specific examples that I want to unpack because they really demonstrate the difference between knowing about someone and feeling like someone. The first one was about an absent father.
Right, a father working at sea.
Yeah.
Now the reader, Sarah in this case, she notes that her life is completely different. She isn't a sailor, she isn't a father.
So intellectually, she knows nothing about that life. She can't really relate to the logistics of it.
Not at all. But through the book, she felt the specific texture of that experience. The mix of love, the crushing distance, the guilt of missing a birthday. It's a simulation. You aren't just hearing about the guilt. Your brain is running the guilt script as if it were happening to you.
You're inhabiting that space.
You really are.
And that leads to the second example, which I think is even more important for the world we live in right now, the unlikable character.
This is such a crucial function of literature. Think about real life. We judge people immediately. If someone is selfish or rude or just abrasive, what do? We label them bad and we move on. We unsubscribe, we block them.
We cancel them. We say, toxic person, goodbye.
Exactly. But in a book, you might be stuck inside the head of a selfish person for 300 pages. You can't just swipe away. You are locked in the car with them.
And because you're stuck, you start to see the machinery behind the behavior.
You see the why. You see the fear, the secrets, the heavy past that makes them act that way. The source beautifully articulates that reading doesn't tell you this person is good or this person is bad. It lets you sit in their mess. It forces you to understand that bad behavior so often comes from a place of pain.
And the real-world application of this is huge. It's not just about enjoying a story. They talk about how this translates to, your daily commute or your job.
It changes your default reaction. When someone is rude to you in line at the grocery store, the non-reader brain says, "What a jerk, they're attacking me." But a reader's brain trained in this empathy gym might pause and think, I wonder what backstory I'm not seeing. Maybe they're carrying a heavy story today.
You're conditioned to look for the narrative behind the face.
Yes. You become less judgmental and more curious about the human condition. And that curiosity is a buffer against anger. It actually lowers your own stress levels because you aren't taking everything so personally.
There is also a linguistic element to this emotional intelligence. The source talks about the emotional vocabulary you get from reading. Is this just about knowing big words so you sound smart at parties?
Not at all. No, it's much deeper than that. It's about granularity. We often default to these really simple descriptors. I'm fine, I'm bad, I'm tired.
Right.
But books give us nuance.
Words like overwhelmed, empty, hopeful, melancholy.
And this matters because naming a feeling is the first step to processing it. Psychologists call this emotional granularity. If you can only say, I feel bad, you're really limited in how you can handle that emotion. It's a blunt instrument.
I see.
But if you can say, I feel drained or I feel overlooked, you're pinpointing the problem. You can solve overlooked. You can't really solve bad.
Speaking of drained, I want to shift gears to what the source calls the word tour. Even though this was designed for English learners to explain vocabulary, I found their definitions of modern exhaustion to be a perfect diagnosis of where we're all at right now.
It really was a diagnostic tool.
Yeah.
And the big one for me was the distinction they made between exhausted and drained.
Yeah. I think most of us use them interchangeably. I'm so exhausted, I'm so drained. Same thing, right?
The source says no, and I completely agree. They defined exhausted as physical emptiness.
Say you ran a marathon, you moved furniture, you chased a toddler all day.
Exactly. Your energy tank is empty. Sleep fixes this. If you are exhausted, you sleep and you wake up better.
But drained.
Drained is different. That is mental or emotional energy being gone.
And the kicker is, you can be physically fine, you've just been sitting on the couch, but you feel completely drained.
Because you've been doom-scrolling news for an hour. The input has depleted you. And here is why the distinction matters. If you are exhausted, you need sleep. If you're drained, sleep might not fix it. You need restoration. You need to refill the mental tank.
And scrolling doesn't refill it.
Scrolling pokes holes in the tank. It demands attention without giving anything back.
This connects to another phrase they highlighted: hit a wall.
The feeling of being blocked. And in the context of reading, they offer such gentle advice here. When you hit a wall, when your brain just stops processing the text, it is okay to stop.
This is so important because I think people force it and then they end up hating reading. They think, I must finish this chapter.
Exactly. We treat reading like a chore or some kind of contest. But the source says, listen to the wall. If you're blocked, take a break. Don't let the wall become a permanent barrier. The problem is what we do when we hit that wall.
The rabbit hole.
The rabbit hole. We usually talk about this for research. Like, I went down a rabbit hole learning about the Titanic,
Yeah.
but they used it for distraction.
It's the loss of intent. You go in looking for one specific song or checking one email, and 45 minutes later, you are watching hikers in a country you can't pronounce, and you have no idea how you got there.
It's the algorithmic drift. And that leads to the most important concept in this section for our mental health.
Yeah.
Wind down.
The pause button.
We need a transition. In the modern world, we often go from high-stress work straight to high-stimulation entertainment, and then we try to sleep. The body doesn't know how to do that. It's like trying to park a car that's going 60 miles an hour. You skid.
And reading is the brakes.
Reading is the deceleration lane. It acts as a biological signal. It slows the heart rate. It stops the shouting thoughts because you have to focus on one single linear narrative. It prepares you for rest.
So let's look at the battlefield. We know we need this wind down. We know it builds empathy. We know it helps us distinguish between being drained and exhausted. And we know our brains are out of shape. How do we actually fix it? Because saying just read more is helpful to no one.
Right. The source gives some really practical strategies for the busy person. And the primary strategy is shockingly simple. Lower the bar. We have this idea that reading means finishing a novel a week or reading 50 pages in a sitting. If we can't do that, we do nothing.
We think, what's the point of reading for 5 minutes?
Exactly. The source suggests the 10 minutes rule. Just 10 minutes or 10 pages or one chapter.
Even 3 pages.
Even 3 pages. The goal isn't volume, it's consistency. It is about proving to your brain that it can focus on one thing for a short period. You're just retraining the muscle memory.
They also talk about environment. And this is a hard rule. I know people will fight this one. Put the phone away.
Not just down on the table next to you.
Slipping it over doesn't count.
No. If it's within reach, the muscle memory of the thumb will win. The source is clear. Put it in another room, put it in a bag, create physical distance. You have to make the bad habit hard and the good habit easy.
It's so true. If I see the screen light up, even just a flash, I'm gone. The tension is broken.
They also suggest becoming a creature of habit.
Ritualizing it.
Right. Same time, same corner, same cup of tea. You are building a trigger. When I sit in this chair with this mug, my brain knows, okay, we are reading now, we aren't scrolling, we aren't working.
It sounds simple, but it's about signaling safety to the brain. We are safe to focus now. But then comes the objection, and I know the listener's thinking this right now. I have a lot on my plate. That was another key phrase they unpacked.
A lot on my plate. It implies we're overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed, we often view reading as a luxury we can't afford. We think, I should be doing something productive. I should be answering emails or cleaning or optimizing my schedule.
This is where we need to redefine productivity. Because is scrolling Instagram for an hour productive? No, but we view it as decompression, so we allow it. But reading feels like an activity, so we feel guilty doing it when we're busy.
Yes. The source pushes back hard on this. They argue that a hobby that brings peace and rest is productive.
Because if you are drained versus just exhausted, the only way to refill that tank is through active rest.
Exactly. Scrolling is stimulation. It's just more noise. Reading is active rest. Even if you only read 3 pages because you have a lot on your plate, that is 3 pages where you weren't stressing, you weren't comparing yourself to others online, and you weren't consuming noise, you were building.
You were building. I love that return to the construction metaphor.
And think about the background processing. Even while you're enjoying the story, your brain is strengthening its memory, its vocabulary, its ability to focus. You are training for the rest of your life while you sit on the sofa. That is productivity in its truest form.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second, though. Is there a risk that this just becomes another thing on the to-do list, another thing to feel guilty about? Oh, I didn't do my 10 minutes of reading. I'm a failure.
That is a real risk. And that's why the source emphasizes the gentleness of this approach. It's not about a streak counter. It's about the feeling. If you miss a day, you don't punish yourself. You just pick up the book the next day. The goal is the quiet power, not the achievement badge.
I think that's a vital distinction. We gamify everything now. We don't need to gamify peace.
Well said. We do not need to gamify peace.
So if we pull this all together, we are living in a microwave age. We are hooked on fast food content because it's easy and it's built for us. Reading is a slow meal, and cooking it takes effort.
It does. It requires us to push through the discomfort of the attention gym. It requires us to sit in the silence and do the work of imagination.
But on the other side of that discomfort is empathy borrowing eyes, understanding the heavy stories that others carry.
And it gives us a vocabulary for our own exhaustion. It offers a way to truly wind down instead of just passing out from fatigue.
And the way to get there isn't by trying to be the perfect Pinterest reader with the perfect library. It's by reading 3 pages, 10 minutes, hiding your phone in the kitchen drawer.
It is about reclaiming your own mind, 1 page at a time.
You know what really struck me about this deep dive is how forgiving the source material is. They aren't saying you're bad for scrolling. They aren't saying technology is evil.
No, they are saying you aren't broken. You are just living in a loud world. That is a compassionate place to start. You aren't lazy. Your attention is just under attack.
Yeah.
And you have the tools to defend it.
So here is the question I want to leave you with today. We talked about how reading requires you to build the world, whereas video builds it for you.
It's a powerful distinction. The difference between active and passive.
So maybe ask yourself this. In your daily life, and not just with media, but in your conversations, your planning, your downtime, how much of your time do you spend as a builder of your own thoughts versus a consumer of someone else's?
That is the question. When you consume, you are walking in someone else's city. When you read, you are laying the bricks for your own.
Maybe it's time to lay a few bricks today, even if it is just for 10 minutes. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.